Hello, I'm Mark Enns with the Department of Animal Sciences at Colorado State University. Now, as part of my activities with the Center for Genetic Evaluation of Livestock, one of the things I get questions about regarding EPD, and get those questions quite often, is about accuracy. Now, each EPD, as you well know, has an accuracy value associated with it. And that accuracy value is just an indication of how strongly related our prediction of an animal's genetics are with the underlying true genetics that that animal actually carries. Now, it ranges from 0 to 1, and a 1 would be considered a perfect accuracy. That means we predicted that animal's genetic merit with no error. We know exactly what that is. Now, I have to be a bit realistic because we never reach that level of accuracy. I work with some other livestock species where we may get hundreds of thousands of progeny, and we have observations on those, and the accuracy will end up being 0.99. So quite high, but we never have a perfect prediction of accuracy, and that's kind of a function of the Mendelian inheritance and the random sampling of genes that get passed from one generation to the next. You should also know that accuracy for an individual, let's say we have an individual, we have one fiber diameter measurement on that individual, the accuracy of that EPD for fiber diameter for that individual will be dependent upon how related that individual is to the rest of the population, whether it's on your farm or on other farms, and the amount of information on relatives of that animal. So as you can imagine, the more information we have on relatives, whether it's the sire or the dam or half-sibs or ancestors, that's going to influence our ability to predict this current animal's genetic merit. Now, accuracy was originally devised, as it ranges from 0 to 1, as an easy way to represent possible change. Now, those of you who are more statistically minded and mathematically minded may be very interested in this, because possible change is really similar to standard error of most of our predictions when you start to think about the statistical realm. But for many, the true statistical definition isn't of importance, but rather how we use possible change in the context of genetic improvement. Okay, so what possible change will tell us is it will give us the range. In that range, we are 68% sure an animal's true genetics actually is within that range. Okay, so let's go through an example, and it may make this a little bit more straightforward. I pulled off the Wakaya possible change table from the annual producers report, and I'll show you that in a minute, but I want to illustrate what possible change represents. Okay, so on the left side here, we have accuracy of Wakaya EPDs ranging, as we've talked about, from 0 to 1. Okay, and you'll notice that as it increases, and we'll use fiber diameter as an example, the possible change value also decreases. So if you think about that from a application standpoint, the more information we get on an individual, the better we are at predicting its genetic merit, and therefore we're narrowing in on that animal's true progeny difference. And our expected progeny difference in EPD is a prediction of that animal's true genetic merit. And if we got to the perfect level, we would estimate their genetic merit, the perfect level being 1, with no error, and so the possible change would be 0. But again, that's a hypothetical limit to our ability to predict animals' genetic merit. Now, if we look at the Surrey possible change table, it does the same thing. As accuracy increases, our fiber diameter possible change values decrease. And ultimately, if we had a perfect prediction, we would have no error associated with that, and we'd be 100% right on that animal's genetic merit. Okay, so let's go through an example using possible change values. So I pulled out an animal with a minus 1.1 fiber diameter EPD, and that animal had a 0.6 accuracy. Now, I pulled this out of the latest genetic evaluation run for the AOA. Okay, so if we take that 0.6 accuracy, we know that we're working with fiber diameter. We know the animal's EPD is a 0.6, then the possible change is 0.47. Okay, so what I did then is took the animal's EPD plus or minus 0.47 that comes from our possible change table, and then calculated the 68% confidence range as minus 1.57 fiber diameter EPD to a minus 0.63 fiber diameter EPD. So what that tells us as animal breeders is that we're 68% confident that this animal's true genetic merit or true progeny difference is within this range. So it gives us an idea, if you will. Let's say this animal obviously had a lot of information. It has a relatively narrow range, but as we get more and more information, maybe more and more progeny observations for fiber diameter, where is that EPD going to change to? Well, there's 68% confident that it'll stay within this range. So let's take another example for an animal that doesn't have quite as much accuracy associated with its EPD. And so in this instance, again, I used an animal from the latest AOA evaluation. It actually has the same EPD as our previous animal, but this time it has only a 0.2 accuracy. Okay, so given that 0.2 accuracy, knowing that we're still dealing with fiber diameter, and we have an accuracy of 0.2, the possible change table then says the possible change value is 0.94. So if we take that and plug it in to our equation, where we take the EPD plus and minus that possible change value, we end up with a 68% confidence range that that animal's true progeny difference, its true genetic merit, is somewhere between a minus 2.04 for fiber diameter and a negative 0.16. Okay, so taking that, let's compare the two individuals. Okay, we have individuals with the same exact EPD. We have one with a 0.2 accuracy, the other with a 0.6 accuracy, and we use the possible change table to calculate a range within which we're 68% sure that the animal's true genetic merit is in that range. And then we look at those ranges, we'll notice that the lower accuracy EPD has a wider range than does the higher accuracy EPD, because we're simply getting more information. The accuracy value that ranges from 0 to 1 tells us that, and from a statistical standpoint, we're narrowing in, getting a more narrow 68% confidence range relative to that animal's true genetic merit. Okay, so that's two ways we have to separate or to determine how much information went into calculating that animal's EPD. First, there's the accuracy values. They range from 0 to 1, and they just simply represent the amount of information that goes into the EPD. And then you can actually take that one step further, which some breeders like to do, and actually calculate a 68% confidence range that shows the animal's probability of the range within which that animal's true genetic merit lies. And so hopefully that gives you a bit more understanding of the concept of accuracy, realizing that as more information goes into calculating an animal's EPD, we have higher levels of knowledge, higher accuracy, and can make a more precise estimate of the animal's true genetic merit. With that, I hope you have a good day.